think we've completed all the public testimony. So we want to get, okay, so is there anyone who would like to testify who has not had an opportunity to testify? Okay, so seeing that there are no hands raised, I'm closing the public testimony portion of this hearing. So we're not taking any more testimony. What we're going to do at this point in time, we have some questions we'd like to ask of the operators. And also we want to just clear up some things that have been stated during this process. So there are a couple of questions that I'm going to ask the patrolling administrator to address. And then there's some questions I'll ask following the patrolling administrator.
Sentinel would like to respond to it. Can you tell us when's the last time you submitted a drill site plot plan to the city?
Thank you, Nikki Carlson, Volstenberg, representing Sentinel Peak. It has been years, perhaps a decade, since there has been any drilling applications from the site or any drilling that has been on the site. There's been several references to the site being a drill site. There is really no drilling going on the site. It hasn't been for years.
So there's been no current plot plan
For drilling, no.
just of the overall site. Was it an application? There was a plot plan.
Oh, there was a plot. Oh, I'm sorry.
Was
There was
there?
a plot plan previously submitted as part of the wave.
PA5.
We, for PA6, we submitted a plot plan which indicates what the equipment on the site, but not for drilling, right?
Do you know what date? Sorry, so when did you submit that?
That was a part of our application package. It's part of the required pieces for the application package. August 13th,
Of this year?
2018.
Can you also share when's the last time you submitted an update spill prevention control and countermeasure plan?
Whatever is required by the regulations, but we haven't updated SPCC. So we can get you a final date on that, but I don't have it off the top of my head.
Do you know what the date of your last certified unified program agency permit, the fire department?
But the CUPA, I'm writing these down too, so we can provide you the dates as if we don't have them right here.
Great. During the, you said you intend to abandon the site, but you said there would be no drilling rigs used during the abandonment period. Will the during the abandonment period, will you use workover or maintenance rigs to abandon the wells?
My understanding of the abandonment and plugging rigs are different than a workover maintenance rig. So we distinguish between those.
Can you
I think it's,
give a description of what type of rigs you plan to use then?
I don't have a precise description. My understanding is that they are smaller. There have also been a suggestion of being able to use a electric as opposed to diesel. It's not feasible for that site because it's the footprint of the electric is not cannot fit within the site to do the work.
I think it'd be great if you could submit what specific
Rigs to be used.
rigs you plan to use, what's the vendor,
We'll do that.
so we know the size and dimensions of
Yeah, we'll do that.
how it's smaller than a drill rig.
Mm-hmm.
During the abandonment period, do you how much future well work do you anticipate happening in that time period?
I can't give you a precise, obviously.
We'll continue to work on wells that make economic sense. I'll be pledging no major workovers on any of the wells that we're abandoning. Should be prioritizing, as the group said before, wells that needs a great deal of workover maintenance would be prioritized for abandonment before ones that do not. We would only be doing maintenance that makes economic sense in order to keep producing.
Well, to keep producing it. And I think an important point is to make sure that the injectors are operating properly, right? Because that, I think, is an important piece of it, separate from production, which really hasn't been discussed here. So there's producers and injectors, as you know, and making sure that those injectors are properly maintained. Obviously, as additional wells are being abandoned, there are fewer production wells and injectors. So it will be tapering off over time. I don't know if you're looking for a more precise answer per well or other some sort of maintenance. I think that we're trying to make sure that we're using industry standards to maintain the wells, which are important to make sure that if they're operating properly.
So you'll continue to get permits from Dogger or well work? And then we do have copies of 12 Dogger permits that have already been issued for the site. I
Just
think you
12?
talked about more.
I thought it was 14, yeah.
We haven't got the last two.
Okay.
Sometimes there's a lag. But do you plan to identify the sequence of well abandonment beyond these 12 and then the subsequent wells?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know that we have a sequence thus far. As we understand it, there's a number of factors that may be considered. One of the things, as Ms. Parsons said, was to, if there are any wells that potentially need maintenance or other work, to prioritize those if we can. And also, there could be other factors in terms of the zone. So I don't know if you want the work at per zone and what we might do there. I'm not sure how that might work.
And I have the inspection report. The most recent Cooper pulled up in front of me. It was August 14th of this year. We found no violations on the site. I can share that if you'd like.
Great. And then what is your plans to use acid going forward during the abandonment period?
At this point, we don't foresee using any. But as you are well aware, sir, Mr. Petroleum Administrator, if we were to do so, it would require 48 hours of notice to Dogger beforehand.
And then the community and the council office that asked for additional mitigations and community protections. Can you tell us which mitigations and protections do you support at the site during the abandonment period?
I think I have the list from the council office that were there, and one of the first ones was fence line monitoring. And I think fence line monitoring is a complicated issue because it requires baseline testing and understanding of how that's to be determined. As you know, Swamman is moving forward with a kind of a fence line monitoring program for refineries, which has a number of steps in it over years to determine how it's best to be done. To assess this, we certainly don't want to delay this process and engage in now a lengthy fence line monitoring program, which would in fact delay things because it is not something that is industry standard, which is I think what somebody said. It's in the process of being implemented and certainly implemented for sites that will be producing in the future. With respect to vapor recovery, the site is a closed system already, so there is no additional vapor recovery to be done. SPCC we just discussed. Diesel and electric, again, electric rigs not fitting onto that site, and also, by the way, consume a substantial amount of energy, more so than one might imagine. With respect to noise and vibration, I think the city's code and other rules apply to that, but there, in terms of having, again, another program to determine what the additional noise or vibration that is allowed on the site would have, it's the larger program, it's something to be done over time.
If you want to just reference that little sheet we handed out at the beginning, that breaks down the code, it tells you exactly in sort of more plain, understandable language, which portions of PA5 we're requesting modifications to, and the ones without notes obviously would stand.
Mr. Park, have you seen those conditions that they were suggesting be modified or deleted?
Yeah, it's part of our application.
So it's my understanding you guys have been working together on these and on these conditions over the past few months or so. Is that my understanding? So there's been no collaboration?
We have been, in the recent weeks, we've had some discussions to see whether we could come to some agreement in terms of any other additional terms than what we have submitted in our application, but we haven't come to agreement on that.
Okay. Just to follow up, so I don't think I got the answer mitigations do you support at the site?
Well, if you want, do you want to go through the conditions that in our application? So for example, I'm just remembering things that have been raised here. There were mitigations with respect to the trucks on the site. I think we have agreed to the conditions, I think it's 9, and subparts, if I have that right.
9, 8, 11,
I think
12?
it's 9. Yeah, but I want to go to, sorry, there's some thoughts in my head. So it is 9G through K. And particularly with respect to, I think, the one that I think had been of interest perhaps to the community is 9K with respect to where the circulation plan for the trucks and how they would be arrive and depart the site.
So just use the Van Buren entry and no northbound traffic through the neighborhood?
That, yes, that is my understanding. But we'll just go through this.
Is that the only mitigation you guys support?
No. So I think many of these conditions for the wall, which are referred throughout here, so we've identified those conditions that we don't believe are appropriate. With respect to alternate, just going to look through here just to make sure. In addition to the vapor recovery, we are doing kind of odor checks throughout the site, so you'll see that on 2H. And the site also has 24-hour response to citizen complaints with respect to odors. And by the way, I should also mention that we have not been cited by the South Coast Air Quality Management District for odor violations either recently. I think the last one was many decades or more ago.
You don't want to go back to 2H for a moment?
Yes.
And you said that there would be additional perimeter odor checks to be performed.
Yes.
So can you go elaborate what those additional perimeter checks would look like? What would you see, what would be reported to the department as checks?
So my understanding of the checks is that the Sentinel personnel goes throughout the site to ensure that there's nothing that seems out of the ordinary with respect to odors. Because they do regular rounds just to make sure everything's operating properly, and there's a number of things that they do. If we could provide, we could get more specificity for you, that's how I generally understand it. I don't have the precise time for things like
Okay,
that.
so there'll be an individual to
Yes.
look for odor.
Or smell. Obviously, the nose is the most sensitive piece there. Yes.
And so that would be something that will be reacted to if a call came in, they would go out there and react to, respond to a call, an allegation of odors.
Yeah, my understanding is that if SWAMID gets a call, that they come out and then inspect and determine whether or not there was some sort of equipment malfunction or something else that is causing the odor, and then requires that to be repaired if so.
Okay, so so that's one method. Is there another method of odor checks available? So the vapor recovery system is one you want to take off the table.
Well, because we have a closed system, so that's what didn't make sense to us in terms of that particular condition, because we have a closed system already which captures the vapors.
And so I'm trying to get it, seems like there's only one option. If this is taken off the table, there's only one option to be considered, and that's to have someone walk around. I'm trying to figure out if there's another option.
Well, I think that this is where there's kind of 24-hour response. So if there's something going on and there's a complaint that's registered, I understand that there's a complaint log. So all the complaints are registered and are there, and so that's the process that we currently go through. Which I don't know what additional things that could be done. Kind of odors. We're there. We're aware of it. We take care of the situation. The South Coast Air Quality Management District has authority over odors, and then there's a complaint process to go through as well.
The last record from AQMD violation was in 2014.
It was 2014.
There were two of them.
And that was, I do remember that, it was a kind of a window paddle, right? Yeah, it was a window paddle, yeah. Yeah, it was, as this person says, it was before Sentinel took over ownership. So. Going to some of the modified conditions that relates to the SPCC. And then we have the voter checks. With respect to video monitoring at 29B, we do have video monitors at the site, which are there and will be provided to the city as required by law. There's rules, of course, with respect to taking video of sites with employees, so you have to be careful about that. But it's there in case something goes on and it's needed. With respect to the fire department, we are obviously in compliance with Reg 4, which, as you know, is very stringent with respect to these sites. The fire department could certainly attest to their visits to the site. They're probably they come out to the site on probably a more regular basis, quarterly, I believe, to make sure that we're in compliance with all things. With respect to providing for a new state-of-the-art fire system, don't think that's necessary. Again, don't even know what that is. We don't want to go through that process. If the fire department says we got to do something, we will do it. It's very important to us, and we're in compliance with our Reg 4 requirements.
On your quarterly leak detection reports, are you guys comfortable sharing that with the city? And then also the State Air Resource Board is going to be doing a study of the neighborhoods around petroleum sites. Are you already are willing to cooperate with the state in that study?
I don't think for this particular site, I think there's, I don't know if you want to speak to
They have the site listed in there.
Yeah, South LA is one of the sites that's been chosen in terms of the neighborhood itself. I'm already in regular meetings with the officials at CARB that have been administering it, particularly around our Baldwin Hills location. I think it's my understanding that any snap study of the South LA neighborhood would not take place until the next calendar year. But at that time, I'm sure we would be going to have continued meetings with them regarding
You're cooperating with them already.
already with our Baldwin Hills site, so I don't see it being too much of a stretch.
Oh, last few questions. What's the current oil production rate, daily rate?
I don't know that.
And then what's your planned production rate during the abandonment period?
Well, I think it's just obviously will taper as we are abandoning those wells. Part of the issue in terms of the timing, and I know folks have been asking for less than 2 years, and believe me, if we can do it, we'll do it. We don't want to have additional procedures. We want to make sure that we're adhering to all the health and safety rules that are applicable, which we are doing. This is a very regulated site, so I think if for that was an indication of timing, there were 19 wells there that took a little over a year and a half, right, to complete. There's 36 wells here, so I think 2 years may be ambitious. A lot of the Fourth Avenue site involved, delays for inspections, other complaints and things that had gone on, and unnecessarily delayed things in certain instances, right? So, I'm sorry.
No worries. Currently, we're about 200 barrels produced per day on the Jefferson site. Of course, as drawdown and plugging abandonment would commence, it would lessen over time until eventually it's zero. Again, if we're able to come to an agreement today with the city and move forward. Oh, and one more correction to what Nikki said earlier. Today, there are 35 wells on the site, as I mentioned.
So
We
35
pulled
wells.
those 14 permits and one has been executed in good faith. However, the rest are on hold, barring the decision that is made from these hearings.
I'm just hearing, so those we decide upon later.
Well, it not only has to make common sense, it has to make dollars and cents, and that we are able to do business. And so if we can come to an agreement on PA6, hopefully we can begin the plugging and abandonment process, and it will be beneficial again to the community, to our company, and to the city of Los Angeles itself.
And to that point, I had mentioned kind of 6 to 8 weeks in terms of a decision, and then there's an appeal process. And look, we are mindful of trying to move this along. And if there is an understanding that is ultimately reached with respect to community and thus far in terms of conditions that we can move forward on, we'd certainly appreciate any ability to get a decision more quickly.
Thank you. So there was some discussion about violations, and so I'm not hearing from you all that there were 49 violations, or there were 49 violations.
Well, I know some of anything that was in PA5 was not enforceable while that was appealed, went to court. So anything that was in PA5, people or everybody maybe perceived as a violation or not because it was on hold. PA6 is wrong. So but that was that violation. Let me finish this. The only other potential ones that I think people may be referencing is in the municipal code. There's a section on getting approval from the planning department on well maintenance and work. Sorry, it's 1301H. Any person desiring to drill, deepen, or maintain an oil well in the oil drilling district has been established by ordinance shall file an application in the Department of City Planning on the form provided by the department, requesting determination of the condition under which operation may be conducted. So people may be alluding to deepening or maintaining an oil well. That, as far as I'm aware, there's no violations of this issue. And potentially there could be some violations, but it would be subject to the zoning department to determine that.
Well, and and certainly our position is that there have been CA approvals issued for the site for decades. I don't know that particular provision means that you need to get a new permit every time you do maintenance on your well, because we do have obviously the original approvals from the site for the wells, which includes maintenance as well. So this is perhaps an issue for another day. I know that the petroleum administrator is considering how to interpret the maintenance section and to figure out how that needs to be done in the context of a larger plan approval that's been issued for an existing site.
Well, we'll look close into that, but that you can see that being a concern where there's something on the books that talks about a requirement to file an action with the planning department, and there's no actions on file of the request to do any maintenance when you change from one well to the other well.
Well, yeah, there hasn't been any changing, in terms of producer to injector. That has not been an issue. What we would be saying is that with respect to our existing plan approvals, we've had, and we've been doing maintenance for 50 years, right? We've been doing maintenance for 50 years, so that there has not been a permit pulled for every maintenance job that's been done on those wells for 50 years. And so now I understand the word is there.
Just these ones in question are the ones that there were permits pulled by the state with Dogger or maintenance.
I think that there's the city's regulations as well as the Dogger regulations. Dogger permits are, I don't think that there have been city permits required because we had the original plan approval.
Okay.
We don't need to fight about that today. I mean, if we want to, we can, but that's yeah.
So, Petroleum Administrator has covered most of the questions that I had that were related to some of the testimony. So I want to thank you for coming back up and providing some clarity.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
I know it's your request that we move as quickly as possible on it, but as you can tell, there's some complicated issues we want to look into. I'm going to close the record on it. We'll close the record on it, so I'm not going to accept any more additional testimony and additional records on it. But what I will do is delay it for a while, about 30 days before the 6 to 8 week process starts. And that's the reason we're given the holidays and everything like that. Okay, so the 6 to 8 weeks for generating the decision letter will start sometime beginning of 2019, early January 2019. I don't want to be misleading.
No, I appreciate that, but we too would like to have an understanding as to how we can proceed and move forward so everybody is.
Yeah, I don't want to mislead you and think that we're going to start this during the holiday season.
No.
Don't think it's taking place. So I want to be very candid about that. So I'm going to take it under advisement for at least 30 days. It's 6 to 8 weeks for generating that decision. I will start after that 30-day period.
And if there is any further information that we have relative to discussions with the community, we'll certainly share that with you during that period of time. Is that be appropriate?
I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that. So with that being said, the public hearing for ZA 1965-1725, 177528, let me back it up. The public hearing for ZA 1965-172528, PA6 is now closed. I want to thank you all for coming out this morning and enjoy your holiday season.
Thank you.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Just for a point of clarification, there were people who were going to submit copies of your testimonies and other things into the record. Are you still accepting those submissions, or are you telling us that the record is actually closed right now? So that we can, so as people gave testimony, including myself, you asked if we would submit the written testimony now. And my understanding as the hearing began was that you were going to hold the record open for some period after this closure. So there were lots of things that were just said, for example, that we did not have an opportunity to respond to. And so being able to respond to those things so that we could be clear what our position is relative to what was just said in the hearing would be helpful. So it's a short period of time.
Okay. So just clear a couple of things. Okay, one of the things that people were giving testimony, and I asked that they submit that to the record. Okay, so that's part of the record. We're just asking that be submitted. That is part of the record. So anyone who gave testimony and read from a document, whether they read from a phone, read from a printed document, would like to have that submitted, that's part of the public record right now as we close out. To your point, there's some discussion that took place that you would like to refute or you'd like to address. I think we can handle that. If you feel unfair about the decision, it can be handled through the appellate process. But I'm not hearing any compelling reason for why we need to keep the record and take that additional testimony in. It's just reviewing what we have already.
Having clear and complete information about, for example, the character of conversations that I've been having with the community, or whether or not something ought to apply in the context of this hearing or in the context of things moving forward, are being able to be clear about those things in order to clarify for you as you're going through your decision-making process can only bring more a decision that's less likely to be challenged as compared to a decision that may have been challenged because of people having misunderstanding. As you noted at the beginning of the hearing, we all would like to avoid a frivolous hearing or a frivolous appeal that occurs because there's been a misunderstanding. And so what I'm seeking is a short period of time, since you're going to be waiting 30 days anyway, for us to be able to submit something into the record that just clarifies our position. For example, you were told that there were conversations that are happening with the community about additional conditions that would be added to the site. And it was suggested that we agreed with what they included in their application. We do not agree with that. We don't agree with what's in the application. And so we just would like for you to be clear about what is the underlying facts related to the decision that you're going to be making.
All right, and I get your point. Okay, There's no activities going to take place within the next 30 days. So granted, I will grant that this record remain open for additional information during that 30-day period. As I've indicated before, there's no work beginning on this process by staff for 30 days. So I will take additional reports and input for the next 30 days.
So let me just share with them a copy of whatever.
Okay, so can you get that done in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay, so let's be clear. I'll give you 2 weeks to submit that, okay? Again, the process for generating a decision letter will not take place for another 30 days, but you have 2 weeks to submit that additional material. Okay? It gives them an opportunity to come to the public record and review that material. Okay, is that fair enough?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all for coming out. I appreciate your attendance.